Hi there, motorhome owners. Today on your 2015 motorhome with an F-53 chassis, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install SumoSprings Rebel Custom Helper Springs for the front axle.
And this is what your new SumoSprings are going to look like when it's installed. These springs are a two-piece design. You have a permanently attached upper half and a permanently attached bottom half. What's nice about it being a two-piece design is you have infinite suspension travel. Your factory jounce bumper does have infinite suspension travel as well, but you can see here it's much smaller and you only have a top piece. So if your suspension fully collapses, the jounce bumper from your factory would then finally contact your front axle and provide additional assistance. This type of system with your factory jounce bumper offers a very abrupt suspension enhancement. Throughout the majority of your suspension travel, you're not getting any benefit from your jounce bumper, and when it finally does contact, it's going to provide you with a thud that you're going to feel on the inside, and it's not going to be pleasant. Your SumoSprings, however, are in most cases contacting one another, providing assistance. We've currently got the suspension hanging, so you can see that there is a gap when it hangs, but once you're back on the ground, the bottom cup's going to slip into the top cup, and it's going to start to compress, providing you with a softer, smoother suspension than what you had before. Since the SumoSprings are constantly working with your suspension, unlike your factory jounce bumpers, you're going to receive many improvements, including reduced sway, because as this side here wants to compress, it's trying to push back, bringing it back to level. Whenever you hit any uneven pavement or potholes, it's also going to dampen those, and that's going to provide less shock at the steering wheel. You're not going to have such abrupt movement jerking the steering wheel on you. So it's going to help reduce fatigue because you're not going to be fighting as much. So what this means for you and your passengers is you're going to enjoy a smoother ride, and you're all going to get to your destination with more energy because you weren't being tossed around so much. So you can spend more time doing the things that you enjoy doing. And you'll feel safer when heading out to your next destination. It's constructed of a polyurethane material that is UV and road grime resistant, so you don't have to worry about them wearing out over time. And the way the material reacts is when it is compressed, it can compress up to a total of 80% from its normal uncompressed position, and the more it compresses, the stronger it gets, pushing back, helping bring it back to its normal position. They offer 2,600 pounds of support. And you want to keep in mind that that's not increasing the amount of weight that you can haul with your vehicle, just how much weight it assists supporting. Airbags, however, will require maintenance, as due to temperature and humidity changes, you will have to inflate or deflate them to match that temperature. They also will require inflation or deflation to match the load in your vehicle. SumoSprings react as they compress, whereas airbags will require pressure increase or decrease to match the load. If you're looking to optimize the ride quality and comfort of your motorhome, then I would also recommend, in the addition of front and rear SumoSprings, a front and rear sway bar. Roadmaster has options available that are custom fit and easy to install, and also a steering stabilizer to help maintain a straight track down the road. It's an easy no-drill installation. You won't need very many tools to complete it. Let's go over that now together so you'll have the confidence to do it at home. We'll begin our installation under the front of the motorhome. You'll want to use your leveling jacks to raise up the front end, and then you'll want to place the jack stand underneath the frame to support it. Once you've got it lifted up, we're going to remove the factory jounce bumpers. You'll need a 13mm socket, and on the driver's side you'll also need a 15mm wrench to hold the nut. We'll place our socket up in the jounce bumper, and we're just going to remove it. We'll then take our upper bracket. We'll take two of the short bolts that come in our kit and slide them in the holes, angling down. We then want the pointed end to face out, away from the center of the vehicle, so it's going to be facing towards the tire. Take the factory bolt that we just removed from our jounce bumper. We're going to go up through the center hole in our bracket, and your bracket is then going to install where you removed your old jounce bumper. So we'll just get it started. You want to make sure that it's flush all the way up against the bottom of the frame when you tighten it down. We'll now take our upper spring, and we're going to be using the holes that are the furthest apart Line those up with the bolts that we dropped down, and then thread those into your spring. We can then tighten down our hardware using a 15mm wrench. You'll want to alternate tightening back and forth, because as you tighten one, it can make the wrench be difficult to fit back on the other side if you've tightened it too far. We'll now take our lower spring. It typically comes pre-assembled, but if it doesn't, you'll want to make sure that you take the Allen head tapered bolt and put the plate on the bottom of your lower spring. Before placing your lower spring on top of your leaf spring pack, you want to make sure that you've got it in the correct orientation. It's just a rectangular plate with 2 holes on each outside and then one in the middle where it connects to your spring. But you'll notice that the distance between the center hole and the outer spring is going to be different. And we want to make sure that we have the larger gap towards the inside. So we want the center to be closest to the hole that it's closest to towards the wheel. So we're going to be setting it like this. We'll then take our hook brackets. These will go on our leaf spring perch, hooking underneath of it. We can then take our hardware and begin installing it. We're going to place the bolt down through our upper bracket, slide a flat washer on it, make sure that our hook is hooked into the leaf spring perch, and then place a locking nut on the bottom. We're then going to use the same combination of hardware on the other side of our lower bracket. Once you've got everything in place, we can then tighten our hardware down. We'll use a 15mm socket and wrench to do so. Make sure that your hooks engage into the lip of the spring perch that they sit on. I like to stop once I get pretty close to tight, and then go tighten the other side down to make sure that my hooks stay in place. And now with both sides tightened down, you just want to check to see that it's sitting underneath your spring. It's normal for it to be slightly offset like you see it here because we've got our suspension fully extended. Now that this side's been installed, we're going to repeat the exact same process on the other side.
And that completes our installation of SumoSprings Rebel Custom Helper Springs for the front axle on your 2015 motorhome with a Ford F-53 chassis.